$750,000. That is the number that just exposed Kody and Robyn Brown's desperate financial nightmare to the entire world. While fans have been speculating for months about the true state of the Brown family finances, this bombshell confirmation reveals just how dire things have become inside that Flagstaff household. Kody and Robyn, the couple who positioned themselves as the victorious survivors of the sister wives collapse, have now been forced to leverage their home to the tune of $750,000. And folks, when you start treating your house like an ATM machine, you are not planning for the future, you are scrambling to survive the present. The exclusive details emerging about this home equity line of credit paint a picture that is far removed from the comfortable reality TV lifestyle the Browns have cultivated for over a decade. Sources familiar with the situation suggest this was not a planned financial strategy or a savvy investment move. This was an emergency measure, a desperate grab for cash when all other options had apparently dried up. One insider put it bluntly, saying they are robbing Peter to pay Paul at this point, and eventually that catches up with you. And let me be brutally honest here. When you have been on television for more than a decade, earning what industry experts estimate to be substantial TLC paychecks, and you still need to borrow against your home, something has gone catastrophically wrong. The contrast between where Kody and Robyn are now versus where they were just a few years ago is absolutely staggering. Remember when Kody strutted around talking about building his polygamist paradise on Coyote Pass? Remember when the family purchased that land with dreams of custom homes for each wife? That vision has not just faded, it has completely imploded. Now Kody is left with one wife, a mountain of apparent debt, and a home equity line that suggests they cannot even cover their current obligations without borrowing against their primary residence. What makes this situation even more explosive is the timing. This desperate financial move did not happen in a vacuum. Sources indicate that legal pressures have been mounting from multiple directions, creating a perfect storm that forced Kody and Robyn's hand. We are not just talking about lifestyle maintenance or keeping up appearances. We are talking about potential legal battles that require serious cash reserves. The $750,000 equity line starts to make a lot more sense when you consider what might be coming at them from former family members and business partners who have scores to settle. But the reasons behind this desperate move are even more shocking than the amount itself, and what insiders are revealing about their monthly burn rate will make your jaw hit the floor. Let us break down exactly what a $750,000 home equity line of credit means in practical terms, because the implications are absolutely devastating for Kody and Robyn's future. When you take out an equity line against your home, you are essentially using your property as collateral to access cash. It sounds straightforward enough, but here is the catch that many people miss. If you cannot repay that money, the bank does not send you a strongly worded letter. They take your house. Kody and Robyn have essentially put their Flagstaff property on the chopping block, gambling that they will somehow generate enough income to pay back $750,000 plus interest. Given their track record, that is one HL of a gamble. The timeline of this financial maneuver is particularly telling. This equity line was secured recently amid swirling rumors about the Brown family's complete financial collapse. Sources close to the situation suggest this was not their first choice, but rather their last resort after other avenues had been exhausted. One person familiar with their finances described it as watching someone max out their final credit card before the bank cuts them off completely. The desperation is palpable, and industry watchers are genuinely wondering how long this band-aid solution can hold. Multiple sources are now suggesting that legal pressures are mounting from unexpected directions, and the equity line may be specifically earmarked for defense costs. Allow me to translate what that means in plain English. When you need $750,000 just to potentially fight legal battles, you are not dealing with minor disputes or nuisance lawsuits. You are facing serious allegations from people who have the resources and motivation to pursue claims aggressively. The Brown family drama has apparently moved from reality television entertainment into actual courtrooms, and the bills are coming due. Then there is the matter of how this situation developed in the first place. Insiders point to a combination of factors that created this perfect financial storm. Robyn's spending habits have been a topic of speculation for years, with sources claiming she has maintained a lifestyle that far exceeds their current income. We are talking about alleged expenses for home decor, childcare assistance, and personal maintenance that would make most families blush. Combined with Kody's reported failed investment ventures and the dramatic reduction in their TLC earning power, it is a recipe for exactly the kind of disaster we are witnessing unfold. The Flagstaff property itself tells part of this story. When Kody and Robyn purchased this home, they reportedly paid a premium price in a market that has since experienced significant fluctuation. Real estate experts following the Brown family situation note that the home may not be worth what they owe on it, when you factor in the original mortgage plus this new equity line. In other words, they could be underwater on a property they are now treating as their financial lifeline. The irony is absolutely staggering when you consider that this was supposed to be their fresh start, their escape from the Las Vegas complications. But the equity line was not just about maintaining their lifestyle or covering everyday expenses, and there is a legal storm brewing that explains exactly why they needed access to this much cash this quickly. The Brown family income structure has undergone a complete transformation over the past few years, and the numbers paint a picture of dramatic financial freefall. When Sister Wives featured 4 wives, 4 households, and the constant drama of managing a plural family, the show commanded significant ratings and substantial paychecks. Industry sources estimate the family was earning collectively somewhere in the range of hundreds of thousands of dollars per season during their peak years. But here is the devastating reality that Kody and Robyn are now facing. With Meri, Janelle, and Christine out of the picture, the fundamental value proposition of the show has collapsed. Let us be brutally honest about what Sister Wives has become. It is no longer a show about the unique challenges of plural marriage. It is now essentially a documentary about a failed marriage situation featuring a man who drove away 3 of his 4 wives and the one remaining woman who is apparently spending money faster than TLC can print checks. Sources within the television industry suggest that ratings have declined significantly as viewer interest in Kody and Robyn's monogamous situation pales compared to the original plural family concept. One insider described it as watching someone try to sell you a pizza with all the toppings removed. The core appeal is simply gone. The financial burden that once spread across 4 households now falls entirely on Kody and Robyn's shoulders, and by all accounts, those shoulders are buckling under the weight. When Meri, Janelle, and Christine were part of the TLC contracts, their participation contributed to the overall family earning power. Their individual storylines, their conflicts with Kody, their relationships with each other, all of that drama translated into ratings and therefore into revenue. Now Kody and Robyn must carry the entire show themselves, and the market has apparently responded by devaluing their contribution substantially. Then there are the rumors about Robyn's spending habits that have circulated through fan communities for years and are now being confirmed by sources close to the family. Reports suggest that Robyn has maintained an expensive lifestyle that includes professional home decor services, multiple forms of childcare assistance even as her children have grown older, and personal expenses that would strain a much larger income. One source described her spending approach as champagne taste on a beer budget, except they do not even have the beer budget anymore. The disconnect between their alleged expenditures and their actual income is reportedly a major source of tension within the household. Kody's track record with investments and business ventures has not helped their situation either. Over the years, viewers have watched him pursue various entrepreneurial schemes with varying degrees of enthusiasm and uniformly poor results. From the failed jewelry business to abandoned real estate dreams, Kody has demonstrated a remarkable ability to lose money in creative ways. Sources suggest that some of these ventures have resulted in outstanding debts that continue to haunt the family finances. The $750,000 equity line may be partially covering obligations from years of financial mismanagement. But the equity line was not just about lifestyle maintenance or covering past mistakes, and there is a legal storm brewing that reveals exactly why they needed this much cash available immediately. The legal threats emerging against Kody and Robyn Brown are more serious than most fans realize, and sources indicate that potential lawsuits may be connected to former family members with axes to grind. Let that sink in for a moment. The very people Kody spent years alienating, dismissing, and publicly criticizing may now be coming for him through the court system. The $750,000 equity line suddenly makes a lot more sense when you consider the legal defense costs that could be involved in fighting multiple claims from motivated adversaries. Sources close to the situation suggest that business deals gone wrong form the foundation of at least some of these potential legal actions. The Brown family has operated through various limited liability companies and business ventures over the years, creating a complicated web of financial entanglements that did not simply disappear when the marriages dissolved. One insider described it as a tangled mess of verbal agreements, unclear ownership stakes, and promises that were never put in writing. When families fall apart, those kinds of loose arrangements become litigation goldmines for anyone feeling wronged. The possibility of defamation or slander claims has also been raised by sources monitoring the situation. Kody and Robyn have made numerous public statements about their former sister wives over the past few seasons, some of which have been pointed and potentially damaging to reputations. Legal experts note that when public figures make specific factual claims about other public figures, they open themselves up to liability if those claims turn out to be false or misleading. Given how freely Kody has spoken about Meri, Janelle, and Christine in recent interviews and episodes, there may be substantial exposure there. Contract disputes within the former family structure represent another potential legal landmine. When four wives operated together for over a decade, they presumably made countless agreements about money, property, and responsibilities. Now that those relationships have fractured, any of those agreements could become the basis for legal claims. Sources suggest that at least one former wife has been in consultation with attorneys about enforcing agreements that Kody allegedly made and then failed to honor. The specifics remain unclear, but the financial implications could be substantial. What makes this situation particularly dangerous for Kody and Robyn is the combination of legal exposure and limited resources. Fighting lawsuits costs money, regardless of whether you ultimately win or lose. Attorney fees, court costs, discovery expenses, expert witnesses. These bills add up quickly, and when you are already borrowing against your home just to stay afloat, prolonged legal battles could be absolutely catastrophic. One source familiar with legal matters described it as death by 1,000 paper cuts if they have to fight on multiple fronts simultaneously. And one name keeps surfacing in connection to these legal threats, a name that represents both the longest relationship and perhaps the deepest grievances. Meri Brown's departure from the family was anything but clean or simple, and sources suggest she may hold leverage that Kody and Robyn desperately want to suppress. For over 3 decades, Meri was legally married to Kody before their divorce to allow him to legally marry Robyn for adoption purposes. Think about that for a moment. She sacrificed her legal status as his wife so that Robyn could gain legal protections, and how was she repaid for that sacrifice? With years of emotional distance, public humiliation, and eventual complete rejection. If anyone has motivation to make Kody's life difficult, Meri sits at the top of that list. The rumors about non-disclosure agreements have circulated through fan communities for months, and sources are now suggesting there may be truth to these speculations. Allegedly, Kody and Robyn wanted Meri to sign legal documents that would prevent her from publicly discussing certain aspects of her time in the family. One insider described it as an attempt to buy her silence about things that would be deeply embarrassing or damaging if they became public. The question that keeps fans speculating is obvious. What exactly does Meri know that is worth legally silencing? When sources refer to potential crimes or secrets that Meri could expose, they leave significant room for interpretation. We do not know specifically what information Meri possesses that might be damaging. What we do know is that she was present for over 30 years of Brown family history, including financial decisions, personal conflicts, and private moments that never made it to television. One source close to the situation put it bluntly, saying Meri knows where all the bodies are buried. Metaphorically speaking, that kind of institutional knowledge is powerful leverage in any dispute. Meri's social media presence has become a source of fascination for fans looking for hints about her true feelings toward her former family. Her posts have been alternatively cryptic and pointed, with many followers interpreting them as veiled messages directed at Kody and Robyn. References to truth eventually coming out, karma finding its targets, and the importance of living authentically have all been read as subtle threats. Whether Meri intends these interpretations or not, they have created an atmosphere of tension and anticipation that must be unsettling for those in Flagstaff. The financial implications of Meri's departure may also be more significant than the public realizes. As one of the original wives, she presumably has claims or entitlements that were never formally resolved. Property interests, business ownership stakes, and other financial arrangements do not simply evaporate when someone walks away from a relationship. One legal expert following the situation noted that Meri could potentially pursue claims that go back years or even decades if she chose to assert them. The $750,000 equity line might be Kody and Robyn's war chest for exactly this kind of confrontation, but Meri is not the only ex-wife who could cause legal problems for the remaining Browns, and the leverage held by Janelle and Christine may be even more immediately dangerous. Janelle Brown's ongoing property disputes with Kody over the infamous Coyote Pass land represent a ticking time bomb that could explode at any moment. That property, which was supposed to be the foundation of the Brown family's Arizona dream, has become a symbol of everything that went wrong with Kody's leadership. Janelle reportedly has ownership interests in portions of that land that remain unresolved, and sources suggest she has been far less willing than Kody might hope to simply walk away from her investment. One insider described the situation as a standoff, with neither side willing to budge and the property sitting there as a constant reminder of failed promises. Christine Brown's transformation into a successful independent businesswoman has highlighted just how badly Kody mismanaged his relationships and his finances. While Kody and Robyn are borrowing against their home, Christine has built a thriving cooking show career, merchandise business, and social media presence that generates substantial income. The contrast is absolutely brutal when you consider that Kody spent years treating Christine as less important than Robyn. Now she is flourishing while he is floundering. One source close to Christine noted that her success is the best revenge, and Kody has to watch it happen publicly every single day. Speculation about financial settlements with ex-wives suggests that Kody may owe obligations that are draining his limited resources. When plural marriages dissolve, there are no standard divorce procedures to follow. Everything must be negotiated privately, and that creates opportunities for ongoing disputes. Sources indicate that at least one former wife may have claims to ongoing payments or property interests that Kody has been unable or unwilling to satisfy. The $750,000 equity line could be partially destined for settling these types of obligations. Fan theories about unpaid debts have circulated for years, and some sources suggest these theories have a basis in reality. Throughout the series, viewers watched Kody make promises about financial support, property allocation, and business participation that he subsequently failed to deliver. When those promises were made to women who are now outside his influence and potentially hostile to his interests, they become serious liabilities. One legal observer noted that verbal contracts are notoriously difficult to enforce, but decades of on-camera promises create an unusual evidentiary record that could work against Kody in any dispute. The cumulative pressure from all three former wives represents an unprecedented threat to Kody and Robyn's financial stability. Even if each individual claim is modest, the combined effect of fighting multiple battles simultaneously could be devastating. Legal fees alone could consume the entire equity line within months if multiple cases proceed to active litigation. Sources close to the situation suggest that Kody has been advised to settle wherever possible rather than fight, but his ego may prevent him from accepting that practical advice. The pressure from all sides has fundamentally changed life inside the Brown household, and insiders are now revealing just how strained the relationship between Kody and Robyn has become. The tension between Kody and Robyn over their financial situation has reportedly reached a breaking point, with insiders describing arguments that have fundamentally altered their relationship dynamic. For years, Robyn was positioned as Kody's favorite wife, the one who could do no wrong in his eyes. Now, according to sources, she has become the target of his frustration as he looks for someone to blame for their predicament. One person familiar with the household dynamics described it as watching him finally realize that his choices have consequences, and he is taking it out on the only person left to take it out on. The irony is absolutely staggering when you consider how Kody treated his other wives for years. Sources suggest that Robyn has been increasingly vocal about blaming Kody for mismanaging their finances and alienating the income sources they once had. Let that sink in for a moment. The wife who allegedly benefited most from Kody's favoritism is now reportedly criticizing him for the very behavior that elevated her position. Insiders describe conversations where Robyn has pointed out that they would still have 4 TLC paychecks if Kody had treated his other wives with basic respect. Whether this represents genuine insight or convenient revisionism depends on who you ask, but the fact that these arguments are happening at all signals a dramatic shift in household dynamics. Robyn's children are reportedly affected by the financial uncertainty in ways that are visible to those who interact with the family. The lifestyle they became accustomed to, including private space, material comforts, and social opportunities, may no longer be sustainable. Sources indicate that discussions about cutting expenses have created tension with older children who are old enough to understand what is happening but powerless to change it. One insider described it as watching kids realize their parents made choices that hurt everyone, not just the other wives, but them too. The generational impact of Kody's decisions continues to expand. Social media observations have noted that Robyn appears visibly stressed in recent public sightings and online appearances. While this could be attributed to many factors, sources close to the family suggest the financial pressure is taking a significant toll on her mental and emotional well-being. The woman who was once portrayed as serene and spiritually grounded now reportedly struggles with anxiety about their future. One source described her as finally understanding what the other wives felt felt for years: the insecurity of depending on a man who makes promises he cannot keep. The question many observers are asking is whether the Kody and Robyn relationship can survive this kind of pressure. Relationships that form during times of plenty often struggle when resources become scarce. The dynamic that worked when Kody could provide abundantly for his favorite wife collapses when there is nothing left to provide. Sources suggest that conversations about their future have become increasingly fraught, with neither party willing to accept responsibility for how they arrived at this desperate point. But Kody's response to the mounting pressure reveals his true character, and what insiders are describing about his behavior is both predictable and pathetic. Kody Brown's alleged attempts to generate income through business ventures have resulted in nothing but additional failures and embarrassment. Sources close to the family describe a man who has never successfully completed a business endeavor now desperately pitching ideas that have no realistic chance of success. From vague social media marketing schemes to undefined consulting opportunities, Kody reportedly jumps from concept to concept without ever developing anything viable. One insider put it bluntly, saying he thinks he deserves success without doing the actual work required to achieve it. And based on his track record, that assessment is absolutely accurate. His diminished social media presence tells its own story about Kody's current mental state. The man who once dominated family discussions and demanded attention from multiple wives has become increasingly withdrawn from public engagement. Sources suggest that negative comments and criticism have made him reluctant to post, creating a feedback loop where less engagement leads to less visibility, which leads to less income potential. One observer described it as watching someone hide from the consequences of their own behavior rather than addressing the underlying problems. The Kody who strutted and preached about family leadership has apparently retreated into sullen avoidance. Perhaps most surprisingly, sources indicate that Kody has been reaching out to former family members, possibly seeking financial assistance or at least a cessation of legal hostilities. The man who publicly dismissed and demeaned his former wives now allegedly approaches them asking for help or understanding. One insider described these outreach attempts as pathetic, noting that Kody seems to expect forgiveness and assistance from people he spent years mistreating. Whether any of these overtures have been successful remains unclear, but the mere fact that he is making them reveals how desperate the situation has become. Kody's public statements over the years now ring with bitter irony given their current financial desperation. He spoke dismissively about wives who questioned his decisions. He lectured about loyalty and family unity while actively playing favorites. He positioned himself as a patriarch who knew best while making choices that alienated everyone around him. Now, those words exist as permanent records of arrogance meeting reality. One source familiar with the situation noted that karma has a long memory, and Kody is finally paying the bill he accumulated over decades. The assessment is harsh but difficult to dispute. The contrast between Kody's self-image and his actual circumstances could not be more stark. In his mind, he is apparently still the head of a family empire, a successful television personality, a man of influence and importance. In reality, he is borrowing against his house to cover expenses, facing potential legal action from multiple former family members, and watching his one remaining wife grow increasingly resentful of his failures. The cognitive dissonance required to maintain his self-regard under these circumstances is genuinely impressive, if also deeply sad. The $750,000 equity line may only be a temporary fix for problems that are much larger and more permanent than available cash can address. The timeline for how long $750,000 can sustain Kody and Robyn's lifestyle and legal battles is genuinely concerning when you examine the numbers. Even if they spend conservatively, which by all accounts is not in Robyn's nature, this money will not last forever. Legal fees for competent representation can easily run into the tens of thousands per month during active litigation. Living expenses for their household, including mortgage payments, utilities, food, and the various extras that Robyn reportedly considers necessities, consume substantial sums. Sources estimate they may be burning through $50,000 or more per month depending on how many legal fronts are active. Do the math, and that equity line evaporates within 18 months or less. The possibility of losing their Flagstaff home has transformed from theoretical concern to genuine probability if current trends continue. When you borrow against your home and then cannot repay the debt, the consequences are straightforward and brutal. The bank does not care about your television career or your family drama or your spiritual beliefs. They want their money, and they have legal mechanisms to take your property if you fail to provide it. Sources close to real estate professionals in the Flagstaff area suggest that the Brown property is being watched closely as a potential distressed sale. Let that sink in for a moment. The home that was supposed to represent their fresh start could end up sold on the courthouse steps. Questions about whether TLC might intervene to protect their investment in the Sister Wives franchise remain unanswered. The network has substantial resources and has previously helped troubled cast members navigate difficult situations. However, sources within the television industry suggest that TLC's patience with the Browns may be wearing thin. Ratings have declined, drama has become repetitive, and the core concept of the show no longer exists now that plural marriage has been abandoned. One industry insider described it as a property that has outlived its natural lifespan, with the network evaluating whether continued investment makes business sense. If TLC decides to pull the plug, Kody and Robyn lose their primary income source entirely. Fan speculation about potential outcomes has ranged from bankruptcy to dramatic downsizing to unlikely reconciliation attempts. The bankruptcy option would be particularly humiliating for a family that spent years promoting financial products and lifestyle advice to their audience. Downsizing would require Robyn to accept a standard of living far below what she allegedly considers appropriate. Reconciliation attempts seem almost impossible given the depth of animosity between Kody and his former wives. Yet desperate circumstances sometimes produce surprising outcomes, and sources suggest that all options are being discussed within the Brown household. The uncertainty hanging over the family extends to their children and extended relationships as well. Adult children who have already distanced themselves from Kody face decisions about whether to help their father despite his treatment of their mothers. Younger children in Robyn's household must contemplate futures that may look very different from their current expectations. The ripple effects of financial collapse extend far beyond the immediate household, touching everyone connected to the Brown family legacy. The next few months could completely reshape what remains of the Brown family, and the collision of legal threats, financial desperation, and family fractures is reaching a critical point. The collision of legal threats, financial desperation, and family fractures has created a situation that seems almost designed to deliver maximum karmic retribution to Kody Brown. For years, he operated under the assumption that his position as family patriarch entitled him to deference, resources, and loyalty from everyone around him. He made choices that prioritized his own comfort and his favorite wife while dismissing the needs and feelings of others. He spoke with confidence about matters he did not understand and made promises he had no ability to keep. Now every one of those chickens is coming home to roost simultaneously, and the coop is far too small to contain them all. The transformation of Kody and Robyn's supposed monogamous happiness into a nightmare of debt and legal exposure is almost too perfect to be coincidental. They got what they apparently wanted: a household without the complications of plural marriage and the demands of multiple families. What they did not anticipate was that removing those complications also removed the income, the support systems, and the distributed responsibility that made their lifestyle possible. One source close to the situation described it as getting exactly what you wish for and then realizing you should have wished for something else. The observation cuts directly to the heart of the Brown family tragedy. Robyn Brown, who spent years being portrayed as the favored wife, the special one, the reason Kody alienated everyone else, now finds herself trapped with a man who apparently cannot provide the life she expected. The other wives have moved on to various degrees of success and independence. Christine is thriving, Janelle is at peace, even Meri, despite her complicated departure, seems to have found equilibrium. Robyn alone remains tied to Kody's sinking ship, watching as the water rises around them both. Whether she regrets her choices or simply resents their consequences remains a matter of speculation, but neither option represents the happy ending she presumably anticipated. The $750,000 equity line stands as a monument to poor decisions accumulated over years and decades. It represents not just current financial need, but a lifetime of mismanagement, favoritism, broken promises, and arrogant assumptions about how the world works. Kody Brown believed he could treat people poorly without consequences. He believed his position entitled him to respect he had not earned. He believed that somehow, some way, everything would work out because it always had before. Now he is learning that luck runs out, patience expires, and karma keeps meticulous records. For viewers who have followed this family for over a decade, the current situation prompts a fundamental question. Do you think Kody and Robyn will lose everything, or will they somehow find a way to escape the trap of their own making? The evidence suggests the walls are closing in from every direction, but stranger reversals have occurred in the world of reality television. Whatever happens next, one thing is certain. The Brown family saga has entered its most dramatic chapter yet, and the ending remains very much unwritten.